to Safari Live. You're joining us live from the African bush. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got Andrew Francis on camera. We have James Henry and Brian Javert on walk this morning. So we are hot on the heels of the Nkahuma Pride, who we left last night, heading west. I'm coming to check this area around Impala Plains for tracks, and hopefully we get some tracks, and before it gets too hot and they become immobile, we find those lions. It's a balmy 19 degrees, 66 Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius. As you can see, no jersey required, barely a cloud in the sky. I think it's going to be a stinker today. Nice and hot. I'm glad, no rain in sight. So when we first get going in the morning, I've got to check the game drive, check in with the game drive, so I'm just going to see if there are any updates. You'll notice my head careering off to the side of the vehicle, and I'm looking for tracks. So looking for tracks of generally the predators: lion, leopard, wild dog, cheetah. So we left those lions probably about 300 meters from here last night. I'm just double checking that they didn't cross back to the north. Morning mobile stations, route and update please. Good, thank you. Copy, thanks. I'm on Impala Plains. I'm going to check quickly last tracks within Nkahumas. If nothing, I would like to move into that area to give all a hand. Thank you very much and have a good morning. So, while we look for these lions, I've just got an update that Aubrey has heard a leopard calling close to the Juma dam cam. So, anyone who watches that dam cam religiously, keep your eyes open. Hopefully that leopard pops into sight and we can get there before it disappears. We do have a player in the game, so to speak. James is in that area having a look with Aubrey before he starts to walk. Yesterday's sunrise safari was cut short due to weather, and Liz in Wisconsin's wondering how much rain we got yesterday. Liz, almost nothing. It was more of a heavy mist and drizzle, probably less than a millimeter, so not really anything that would change the bush a lot. The only thing that weather does sometimes bring out is a few wildflower species, so I will be checking for them. But no rain as such, more of it just a dampening. So we have a very, very touchy subject to speak about, and I think let's just get this over and done with. It's from James Doherty II. Are James and I mourning today? We are, but we're pretending it didn't happen, and we're just going to pretend we didn't have a TV, and all we do is look for animals, and we don't support any rugby. The South African national team, the Springboks, were beaten by the All Blacks by 2 points last night in the Rugby World Cup semi-final. So anyone who's not an All Black supporter, I encourage you to join me in supporting Los Pumas. We shall be supporting Argentina for the rest of the World Cup. And the main reason is this, is that the All Blacks have won the World Cup twice, Australia have won the World Cup twice, we've won the World Cup twice, so I'd rather have the Pumas win the World Cup once and we all just stay on equal footing for this World Cup. And it would be really great for the Pumas. They've come an incredible long way. So we left the lines lying pretty much where the sun came up last night, and I'm just going to check for tracks. Just double check that junction. I was still in shock in the morning about the Springboks losing. Forgot to look for lion tracks at that junction. I'm pretty sure they've crossed west. What I am hoping is they've crossed into Arathusa and not further to the west where we are unable to traverse.
Morning, mobile operations. Any update? Morning, Craig. Update as well. Station mobile from Iran and Wild.
There we go. Any tracks?
Negative, correct. Okay, copy. I was almost just looking for it.
Let go to the right, to the right. I see it.
Apparently it's audio coming from the east.
Here we go. Heading west, I think on the trail of those buffalo. So let's go check our western boundary. Hopefully those lions haven't moved too far, but I do think they were on that herd of buffalo which actually crossed outside of our Traverse area. But who knows, they might have found something before they got there. So for those of you who might have missed last night's sunset safari, we are following the tracks of the Nkahuma Pride minus Junior. I still think they've gone that way, but you always got to double check. So I'm going to head up here to see if we get any tracks coming out onto this road. Unfortunately, this is a main access road into the reserve, so there are vehicles that traverse it all hours of the night, and sometimes they do drive over tracks, obviously not intentionally. I'm just going to change the radio channels to the Western channel, that's the Arathusa channel. Morning mobile stations, Brent from WildEarth. Update for good morning, please.
Morning, Brent. No visual demonstrations from Safari following up on courses from the Building Garden around their driveway heading north.
Copy, thanks. Doug, I'm following Gonzo from Nkohumas. I think they're heading towards Simbambili side. We left them on Impala Plains.
Hello.
Welcome welcome back. Sorry about that. Seems like there's a gremlin in this fresh morning air playing with our signal.
Shortcut coming north.
So it sounds like the tracks of male lions, probably the Birminghams, just to the south of us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check where the Nkuhumas cross first, and then I think I'm going to head down there because they are heading towards the Juma, those male lion tracks. Checking carefully where the ground's a bit hard for the tracks, and while we're doing that, we've got a question from Bob in Iowa. And Bob is wondering, do all big cats, lions, leopards, jaguars, kill their prey in the same way, by strangulation? Bob, all of them will use that strangulation method. There is that special gap between the canines and the premolars that pinches the esophagus of their prey closed, but it also just depends on the size of the prey. Smaller prey will just normally be dispatched with a bite to the skull, where there is larger prey, yes, suffocation is used. There's different suffocation holds. So the most common one, and if they are able to, they will use the one around the esophagus. But lions with a big prey like a buffalo quite often use they don't really have a choice. They'll actually bite onto the animal's mouth and nose area and sort of, and then actually suffocates by drowning almost, as the blood will fill up from that animal's nostrils through to its lungs. Andrew, I'm not seeing any tracks here. Do you think these lions might have done a loop-de-loop and headed back north? I would have said from where we had the last tracks, they should come out in this little section here. Let's check through to that dip and then we'll turn around. No tracks. Conundrum. Out here at Safari Live, we do like a bit of a challenge. And as you've heard, we do take questions, and you are able to send us questions live in the African bush. For the tech savvy, there's Twitter. You just use the hashtag Safari Live in your tweets. And if you prefer a little bit of privacy, you can send us an email on questions@wildearth.tv. And please also remember to let us know where you're from. We love hearing the far-flung places of the world that our viewers are hiding in. Okay. While we're in search of these lines, I don't have any tracks coming out here, which is very interesting. And this could tie in quite nicely. Last night, after the Springboks' very disappointing loss, I was sitting outside on the balcony and I could hear male lions calling. And Ashley from North Carolina is wondering, can a lioness tell from a male lion's roar whether it is the dominant male of their, that dominates over their pride, or is it an outsider? Actually, I think definitely they can tell, and I think for one reason why these lines might have changed their complete direction and gone north is because from these tracks that are coming up the road towards us, the male lines that the guys from Arethusa are following, I think it's probably the Birminghams, and if they'd heard the Birminghams calling, they definitely would have skedaddled to try to protect that sub-adult female. I'm just gonna jump up here so I can see the tracks a bit better. Need to listen to this quickly. One of the terrible things about these main access roads is the corrugations that form as people travel a bit faster, and it can make you so if there are a bit of bumps, sorry, I can't avoid them. The whole road is made up of them. Where could these lines be? On the subject of the Birmingham boys, Blair Sinclair said that apparently the Birminghams have been named the Gowrie males by Mala Mala. Now, sorry, just keeping up to date. Well, Mala Mala is a bit of a different one. They're very they sort of act autonomously from the rest of the Sabi Sands, and for them those males have come from Gowrie, which is this area, so they possibly don't know the history that they came from the Manuletti originally. So I think that's why they've been called the Gowrie males. I mean, when I was at Londolozi, we used to call the main pride of lions we had there the Sparta Pride, and Marlo Marlo used to call them the Ifield Pride. We used to call one of our dominant male leopards the short-tailed male, and Marlo Marlo used to call them the bicycle crossing male. And generally everywhere else we try to keep the names the same, but for some reason Marlo Marlo seems to like to name things of its own accord, and that's their own choice. Okay, this is getting quite interesting. The fact that we haven't found any tracks, and it's unlikely that I'm going to miss tracks on a big sandy road like this, especially not of the pride of lions. Just keep checking down. Maybe here. Nope. I'm just going to be on the radio again for a second. Cedric.
Hey, Bob.
Morning, said Brent here. What's the update on those in Cornwall?
Still going southern fork and passing to Lolo, heading in a north-westerly direction towards Cutline, Shagodi Pan.
Okay, copy, thanks. The last trucks for Inkahumas were also heading in that general direction from Impala Plains.
Interesting, sure. Now let's take a look here. I'm going to take a look on the cut line, see where they crossed.
Copy, thanks. Oh dear, dear, dear. Sounds like the mail lines and the Nkahuma tracks general direction is they're going to converge, but we're going to go back to the last tracks of those lines and see if we can figure out where they went. And I think it's that big herd of buffalo that went that way that all the lines are converging on. And obviously for the Nkahumas, it's a bit of a risk if the Birminghams are there. That's bad news for us. Those mail line tracks have crossed out of our Traverse area, and while we try to figure out where the Nkahumas have gone, we've got another question from my friend Dylan, who's 10 years old. Hi Dylan. Dylan would like to know, as a safari guide, do they ever do safaris for children or just for adults? Well, Dylan, I used to do very special safaris for children as well as adults. So a family safari, so mom, dad and the kids on safari, and I've done them all over Africa. And kids safaris or family safaris can be really fun. We get to do lots of fun things like make plaster of Paris tracks, and all kids who come on one of my safaris when I was a safari guide do a junior rangers course. So it's not only a holiday, I give you guys some homework. A nice little course so you get to know the difference between a lion track and a leopard track, and what are the common birds, the big eagles. So I'm taking many kids on safari. I was also a kid on safari for a long time. Okay, it sounds like those mail line tracks have headed towards us.
There's one up there. Okay, well, there's one up there. Just quarter that off down there. I see that.
I said I'm on Triple N heading north, following up on those Nkahuma tracks. Is there anywhere you'd like me to check particularly? I'm on a Kampala Plain station.
Yeah, somewhere north of it, there's a basic environment that you take back into Williams, right?
Copy, we will do. So it looks like those mail line tracks have cut east. So we're going to unfortunately be back on the corrugated road, but it's further to the north than where we first, where we turned around when we were looking for the Nkahuma tracks. Fingers crossed. Moving down this nice, or not so nice, it's very corrugated, big sandy road. Evil imp is wondering, is the sand put down to try to smooth out the roads, or is it naturally like this? Well, it's actually naturally like this. In areas where there's a lot of clay, they'll sometimes put a layer of a cap over it so you don't get stuck or sink.
So yeah, at the moment, make sure when you open up, it's taking a different direction.
Andrew, you checking way down the road up from high there, see if you can spot those lines. That is not a lion, that is a warthog. Is it? A very big warthog. Okay, you're not a lion, warthog. Warthogs are one of our directors. Tara is her favorite animal, so there we go, Tara. I'm afraid we might come back to the warthog, but we're on the tracks of lions at the moment. So, Ashley from North Carolina would like to know, what is the largest pride of lions we see regularly? Well, it was probably the Nkahumas originally, but obviously they've lost a few individuals to the Birminghams. The largest pride of lions I've seen since I've been at Safari Live is a pride called the Salala Breakaways, or Mangan Pride, and I think there were 14 of them the last time we saw them, and we had actually fantastic sighting in the mist. You spotted something, Andrew? Negative. And we've had an incredible sighting in the mist on the Arathusa airstrip. Sorry guys, I'm not looking at you because I don't want to. I just really have to check very carefully here. The ground's quite hard and we don't want to miss the tracks of those male lions. And you can feel the corrugations. And the biggest pride of lions I've seen ever was in the Masai Mara, and I think it just happened to be two prides that had split that came together at the time, but there were 48 lions on two buffalo kills. And in South Africa, some of the biggest prides of lions live not too far from the east of us on the basalt plains around Satara in the Kruger National Park, and I used to work in that area, and we had a pride that we called Mountain Pride, but when they became famous on National Geographic they got called the Mega Pride, and they were around varying between 35 and 45 animals in that pride regularly, and they did do a show on them. That area, nice big basalt grasslands below the Lubombo Mountains, a lot of wildebeest, zebra, buffalo, so lots to eat. That's why the prides in that area can be so big. Okay, come on. The last tracks of those lions were about 400 meters to the west of us, and we are hoping they've come east. We can't drive to the east of us here, coming to the west of us. On the top of this hill that I found their tracks on regularly, and definitely doesn't look like the Nkuhumas have come through here, so they must have changed direction. I wonder if it's because of the Birminghams. Oh, these male lions. We're not 100% who they are yet.
I checked out for this one up had nothing crossing over here. One up had open now. Once you get through one up had finish it off and then I'll go that side.
Okay, we're getting into this area of very large game paths that have it's on many tracks on lion and leopard and wild dogs.
Sean again. Footing to the right. I don't know where Roy is. I know Roy was helping us out inside the floor. Maybe I'll Roy is still in the area. Copy that, thank you. Roy again.
Hyena tracks. Andrew, are you napping or looking for lions?
I'm searching.
Good man.
There they go, one in corner across the road here, one outside road going straight north.
So while we are scouring high and low for lions, Christopher Numa from Arizona would like to know, can a female lion kill a male lion in a one-on-one battle? Most definitely not. A male lion is probably 200 pounds heavier than a lioness. Lioness is around 120 kilograms. Male lions around 220, can go up to 250. Much physically stronger than a lioness, and there's zero chance she would win a battle. Okay. Coming up towards, there's a big game path around here. So far, no lion tracks, but this is where the buffalo crossed yesterday.
Alright. One up road, one up and open, crossing over straight north with the fire red. We go to Triple M and think of doing crossback.
Okay, now you can see the herd, the buffalo tracks here. So we've got to look very carefully to spot the lion track, if there is one, amongst all the buffalo tracks. That's why I'm going very slowly and checking very carefully. We don't want to be the ones who miss the tracks. It'd be a bit embarrassing.
Shot. Good. Taking the front rock. I'm on my way there now. I'm almost at one outside again. Yeah, copy. I'll do the front brake and just take it there. Okay, cool. So we've got the triple left on the front brake. Sorry.
Come on, 50 cats. We would, while we're searching here, that lioness of the Nkuma Pride who had that very distinct limp yesterday on the sunset safari, and Mike from Florida is wondering, how often do lions actually get killed by giraffe or injured by giraffe? Well, when they go for giraffe, Mike, it does happen quite often, and normally the most common injury that kills a lion when hunting giraffe is a broken jaw. So, and get a good kick. breaks their jaw and then they die from that. But I mean, lions do such, I mean, when they're hunting big game, it's such a sort of really aggressive thing that they do get injured from time to time. But as I said, they've got an incredible capacity for healing. But they can die, and when hunting buffalo, giraffe, and sorry guys, I'm just trying to listen to the radio.
Are you saying they're going empty wheels, eh? No, negative. It's just they wanting corns off of that bed that you guys had an old ball.
And sorry, I'm just listening very carefully to the radio. No updates yet. So the glass tracks are very close to where we are here, and I can't see any tracks crossing out yet. But lions do get injured very often when they hunt those game. It's the big game. It's not often that they get killed. Oh, we're causing a traffic jam here. We've got Sean behind us from Arethusa, as well as some other people who are probably on their way to town. And there you have us dilly-daddling at slow speed trying to look for tracks. We're just going to move off the road and let the other vehicles go past. We're right at the gate. Morning.
Long time.
Long time?
Yeah, man.
How you been?
Surviving, how are you?
How's your leave?
Very relaxed.
Hi.
Hi. There's Lucha. I think the Nkumas did a zigzag as well. They were heading straight for here, last tracks around the Impala Plains, but nothing coming out, so I think they heard this lot. And
They're across one eye pan there. Well, quite a few, not the ones that Cedric's tracking.
is it different? So that could be the Nkumas.
Unless they crossed here.
Yeah.
There we go, Simba Morgan pulling in, so don't think they've crossed on the fire breaks.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, yeah.
So there we go, Sean giving us an update. The lions are close by, but where we can't go.
Enjoy.
So we're going to go try to find that leopard that was calling. Enjoy, everyone. That's a busy spot, everyone tracking these lions. So we've got Sean, now we've got Doug coming past. Morning meetings all around. It's not Doug, it's Dan. Hey, for once the lions go our way. So they've crossed, but unfortunately it's very close to the Boffles Hook boundary, and this is that Bermuda Triangle where the animals often just skip through us and go to the north. Morning. Oh. I will, all for 100 meters till they go into Boffles Hook. So here we go. Let's have a look here. There are the male lion tracks. You see them there, Andrew? We're a bit close. Here we go. So let's hope they've decided to stay on Juma and not cross out of our area. And I'm just changing radio channels quickly. Stations been on the Western Channel update, please. Where did those tracks go?
Friends at Luigi, fine. There you go. Checking on them. I've got the cut line there to the minor road area.
Copy. Looks like Nkonzo of a few Wanuna and Galas come in from the gates towards Sydney's Dam, going up.
Okay, thanks. Do you mind if I come to the area that side?
Not at all, Andrew. Please make your way. The tracks look like they've crossed.
Should have passed on to the coming that side.
They have crossed into. Then. I apologize, this is a very well-known bad signal area. It's the same area where the Salala Pride killed those 4 buffalo in 4 days. So we're just going to go very slowly through here and hope the lines are still on our side. There's the boundary coming up in front of us. So these big paths here are often where the lines cross. Unfortunately, they have gone straight north into Buffalo's Hook. That looks like the Nkrumah Pride tracks there. And anyway, we'll be moving. There and there. Oh dear. Oh dear. So we are in this very bad signal area and I'm going to move through it. So while we do that, we're going to cross across to the fearless Commander Bond, who's got a different cat's tracks.
Good morning everyone. I'm standing here on a termite mound. Clearly I haven't grown in the night, unfortunately, and we are looking desperately for leopard tracks. Now we've heard male leopard calling. A lot of our keen viewers heard him on the Djuma Dam cam. Now the Djuma Dam is a long way from here and there's clearly a male leopard around here. We've got tracks around the area looking. There's a male leopard trying to mark his territory. Where he is, we don't know. We've got Aubrey and Taxon driving around the block. Their trackers are in the bush here and we've come in to see if we can't find him as well. It would be tremendously exciting, especially because I think it's probably Mvula, which is the territorial male leopard from this area. I've only seen him a few times and I quite like him. He's my sort of go-to guy, if you like. So I'd be very excited to see him. I'm standing up here for 2 reasons. One, because it's a termite mound and I look larger than I might otherwise. And 2, because, well, it's a good vantage point. And you often find animals standing on things like termite mounds because they are good vantage points. Now, in case you're wondering, my name is James. On Brian we have, on camera we have Brian, not on Brian we have camera. That's not how the sentence works. And we are on a live safari. Even though we're on foot, please talk to us. Happy to answer your questions and hear your comments. I might have to go silent every so often just to have a listen to what's going on, but we're still interactive and live. So hashtag Safari Live us if you're tweeting. Otherwise, questions at wildearth.tv. Now I believe those lions have crossed in a northerly direction, which is very irritating of them, highly selfish, to have gone off into Buffalo's Hook. But with any luck, this male leopard will be around here at some stage today. Even if not, it is the most wonderful morning. I'm standing here, the new sun warming my face. I mean, I think that new sun will probably boil me by the end of the day. But right now, with the gentle breeze coming out of the north and the eastern sun on my face, it's just very, very marvelous. Right. We're going to carry on. I don't think we have very strong signal here, so if we walk, I think you'll lose us. So let's go back to Brent. Apparently he has a surprise for you. We'll see you just now.
Yeah, but... So guys, stop. I'm going to get Andrew to stop there. What can you see in that shot? What can you see? What have we found? And if we go in a bit tighter. Sorry, I'm just being called on the radio. There we go, head up.
Around 1 night time. just north.
So there we go. It looks like the Inkahumas.
Okay, copy. So, no.
I think I heard you.
There we go. Is that? No, it's not. Is that a young male?
They got them there. Frank got them. Must be maybe presenting. Yeah.
Is that a young male? Where are my binoculars?
On the right, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder who that is. Is this the Inkahumas? That is the question. Has Junior made a sudden appearance? Let me just get my binoculars out of my bag and have a close look. It's a young male, but I don't think it's Junior. I don't think this is the Inkahumas. Oh boy, now we're going to play Guess the Line again.
I guess 6.
I don't know what is going on here. Let me just... I just got to... Sorry, the guys are trying to get hold of me on the radio quite desperately. Stations, I'm not sure. It's not Wanuna Ngala. It's a Pride, and it's a bit far for me to see which Pride. Almost looks like it could be Shimungwe, but I'm not 100%. Copy, thanks Andrew. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm as confused as you about which line these are, so I'm just going to try to have a proper look at the binos. I think, yeah, that is a young male to the right, but I can see 3 lionesses. But also that young male looks too old to be Salala young male. Looks too young to be Junior. Could this be the Shimungwe Pride, or could this be a little off-bake of the Talamaji Pride, who I've never seen before? Oh, these lines just keep leaving us with unanswered questions. Oh, she's a beautiful lioness though. The one with her head up there. So unfortunately we can't zoom anymore. We are at maximum zoom at the moment. So I'm just going to pop across to the Arathusa channel just to let them know what's going on and see if they might have an idea who these lions are. Sean or Cedric coming? I said we've got Ngala at Sydney's Mighty, but it's not Wanuna, it's a Pride.
Okay, copy you, sir. Which Ngala have you got there?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen these lions before. I can see 3 adult lionesses and a male of about 2.
Oh, okay, so not Birmingham, but anything like that, eh? That's
Hey, yeah, no, not the Birminghams.
okay, copy. My daughters.
No, one young Wadora and 3 Mafais.
Okay, copy. Copy. Thanks so much, mate.
Copy, no problem. Good luck with those Birminghams.
I think the same as one of the people following, eh? All the way through towards the dam side.
Okay, copy. Maybe Shimungwes. Do you know what the makeup of Shimungwes is?
3 Mafais is one my daughter.
Okay, copy. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's the Shimungwes.
Okay, thanks so much, sir.
Okay, so there we go. It could be the Shimungwe Pride, which is 3 females, 1 male, and that's what this looks to be. So this young male, he's in between the age of junior and the Tsalala young males.
Yeah, over there. I'm not sure which price. I'll get there. Maybe trying to get an idea of which one.
So that means Inkahumas are still MIA, and I don't see any tracks of them crossing to the west. So they could very well still be on Djuma. Oh, Andrew, there's a giraffe. And it's spotted the lions. You can see the way it's looking using that superior height. Here we go. Oh, lion! So we are sitting on the Buffels Hook Djuma boundary at the moment, and those lions are lying in Buffels Hook, and unfortunately we don't have traverse. So this is the far western corner of Buffels Hook. So if we have a look back at the lions there, Andrew. So we're on the Djuma's northern boundary, and just beyond the dam wall, not very far, is the Manuleti. So they're right in a tiny little corner. Oh, flop down. And the fence you see to the left is one of the landowners in Buffels Hook's houses. So if there are people, or their little safari lodge in the bush, so if there are people at the safari lodge, they don't even have to go and drive this morning. They can sip their coffee from the deck and view the lions. But I don't think there are any people there currently. So what we do is we're going to wait here till Andrew arrives, and Andrew does have traverse in Buffels Hook, so he can get a bit closer and maybe give us a bit more information. But I'm pretty confident now, after chatting to Cedric from Arethusa, and just from the makeup and the age of that young male, that this is the Shimungwe Pride. So the Shimungwe Pride, many years ago, were known as the Castleton Pride. So the Tsalala Pride originally broke off from the Castleton Pride, and they were on a property far to the south and west of us called Singita. And the original farm name of one of the areas that Singita is made up of is called Castleton. I'm not sure why the Pride name changed. Maybe they broke off. I'm not 100% sure of all the dynamics. But so they are actually distant relatives of the Tsalala Pride. I mean, those giraffes are staring at those lions. So while we wait here, and hopefully those lions do get up and move towards us, we're going to go back to James and his leopard tracking.
Hello everybody, come a little closer here. We found some tracks of a leopard, the male leopard here on the ground. We're not going to be able to show them to you right here because the ground's just a little bit hard. But he's heading straight down along this ridge crest here. There's an old game path, and a game path is a sort of ancient route where animals used to move to and from water. And there is a game path here. Often they're maintained by elephants and rhino, and then they're used by things like this male leopard who's on his territorial marking. I haven't smelt him at all, but we did have his tracks. So we're going to sneak slowly forward down here. I think these things are fresh. As Steph likes to say, shining, they're so fresh. But he will be moving quite quickly, and you need to be very careful about watching the ground. And because he's not on a road, it's quite difficult to keep up with the tracks. Here we go. Stay close by. Like I say, it's the most glorious morning, and what we're going to be looking for is the flash of a tail or just the kind of glint of the golden pelage as he disappears, because if he sees us, he'll probably, if we're at a decent distance, he'll just turn and look over his shoulder like this at us, and he'll freeze. But if he sees us and we're close by, he'll melt into the bush with an amazing speed. It's a wonderful thing to be walking along and suddenly you stop like this, and there's a leopard on all fours just staring over his shoulder at you like this, as if to say, what do you want? We look carefully here. Whenever there's a sandy patch, we're going to look in it and see if there's a track. I don't see any tracks in this particular one. But we'll keep going along the ridge crest here. And listening. Listening is extremely important. Brian's just hooked himself onto a Cumbritan bush. Listening is extremely important. There might be animals alarm calling, birds alarm calling. There were monkeys shouting just now down there, and that's why we came up to this area, found the tracks. These are fresh. Oh, I don't know if you heard that. An oxpecker. Oxpecker, as most of you will know, is a tick bird, lives on animals and eats the ticks off them. It also, sorry, you can't hear me when I'm whispering. What it will also do is alarm call when if it's sitting on something like a buffalo or an impala or nyala. It'll alarm call at a predator or at us, and it just alarm called. I think at us. There, it was a steenbok running through the bush there. Quite interesting that steenbok should be running. We're going to just walk very slowly forward. I'm sorry if you can't hear me that well. I'm just going to move the microphone closer to my mouth, because we don't want to be walking through here going wah, 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 wah. So while we're listening and looking for the leopard tracks, Sandra, you want to know about ticks, and do we get them here? Yes, we do get them here. You can get tick bite fever, which is a fairly relatively mild disease, and you can only basically get it once if you're in and you've been here for a while. And we don't take huge precautions. Well, some of us don't. Brian, shall I? Gators. Brian, take.
So we're still sitting here with these very much flat cats, and as I said, just going to wait. Andrew's about to arrive, just so you can confirm that it is the Shimungwe Pride, and once we've got confirmation of that, we will possibly head off to try help James in that area, following up on those leopard tracks. And the lions are not moving. The giraffe are still staring at the lions. Oh, here comes Andrew. Morning.
Thanks so much.
No problem.
I'm going to try to get around.
Cool. I think it's Shimungwe's, but I can't see nicely from here.
Okay.
So I'll wait to hear from you how many are there. I think there's 3 lionesses, 1 young male.
All right. Thanks,
Andrew.
guys.
Oh, the young male's heads up again. Couple of heads up. Let's have a look. There, those binoculars. Is that another young male? Oh, this is confused. No, that's another young male. Maybe this is Talala's. But he looked a bit old. So now I can see 2 young males, 3 lionesses. I said it's very far for us, so it's quite difficult for us to see even in binoculars. Andrew, I've suddenly seen more Ngala. I think it could be Salala. I can see at least 2 young males now. So there's a little depression there. We need to see if there's... Let's see if it's a... there's a little depression there, and I think they were lying in it and we couldn't see them. Sometimes it's very frustrating. We're so close yet so far. And we haven't seen the distinct tailless lioness yet, but Andrew should be around there in a second, and he can let us know. And that young male with his head up there definitely looks like a Salala young male. Right age. Maybe that one male, just the angle he was sitting at made him look a bit bigger than he is. As I said, this could be another pride we don't know. There's an Egyptian goose waddling behind them. There comes Andrew. Wait patiently to hear from him. What else do they see? They're not looking at the lions right now, they're looking at something else that we can't see behind the bushes. I think maybe it was those giraffe. Maybe there's more lions down there that we can't see from here. Or just going around the pad. So I can see Andrew looking in his binoculars, trying to figure out which lions there are.
Brent, 3 young male and 2 cubs. Like a young male is got another fresh wound.
Okay, we know who it is now. Copy, thanks very much, Andrew. Salala. Is the tailless lioness missing, or is she there?
Maybe try and get more updates. So they confirm one of the young male on Salala there, he's got a wound.
Right. AFM on, I think it's right next to his tail on the left-hand side, or could be right, I can't remember exactly. AFM, sorry, Salala Pride. Okay, so we know who it is. It's the Salala Pride, that young male. There's 3 young males, and the one who's got a wound on the left-hand side of his tail. So mystery solved. Let's go see if we can help James find that leopard. So while we're moving away from here, let's have one last look at the lines. There's a few heads up. Elizabeth was wondering, is it common for lions to hunt elephants? And if so, how many lions do you need? Well, Elizabeth, a lot of animal behavior is area specific rather than species specific. And in this part of the world, lions very, very seldom hunt elephants. But northern Botswana, they do hunt quite regularly. I've actually seen it start to finish twice, and generally quite big prides. I mean, at least 6 or 7 adults, and they will take an elephant of about up between 15, maybe even a bit older than that sometimes. But let's keep our fingers crossed that they come back onto Djuma. I think they're gonna. They seem to like this area. This is the area where they killed those 4 buffalo in 4 days. Stations, just updates on those Ngala. It is the Tsalala Ngala at Sydney's Mighty. Okay, we might get a little bit of signal breakup as we move through here, but I'm going to move as quickly as
and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
So, unfortunately that area is a very well-known bad signal area, but we are out of it now. And so, Elizabeth, I was chatting about elephants hunting, that would be a sight, wouldn't it? Lions hunting elephants, and areas in northern Botswana, particularly the Khondo, Linyanti and Savuti regions, are quite famous for elephant hunting lions. And I've actually been lucky enough to see it a couple of times in my life. But in this area, not very common. And also, what you're looking at with this is generally a big pride, at least 6 or 7 adult lionesses. And almost in all the times I've seen it, you need a couple of males as well. They're just so much stronger. Hyena, running hyena tracks. Such a beautiful morning. A little bit of cloud in the sky up there, but that's about it. So no report on the wild dogs today. So we've got quite a nice little question here, and it ties in with my friend Dylan's question from earlier about children's safaris. Ashley, who's in Los Angeles, is with her great niece Lauren, and Lauren would like to know, how old do you have to be to go on a safari? So that is a very, very interesting question, right? So it all depends. You can be any age. You can be a baby and go on safari, but obviously you're not going to remember seeing all the wonderful animals. So I would generally say the minimum age for a safari is probably around 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. Unfortunately, a lot of the lodges don't take children of that age on safari, mostly because a lot of people are going on holiday, don't like little kids running around, but there are lodges that especially cater to family safaris and children's safaris, and also some of the other lodges will, but you have to have a private vehicle. So you will take a private vehicle for just your group, but there, as I said, there are lodges that specialize in family safaris as well and promote them. And so I'd say 5 or 6 at that age, you will have to take a private vehicle at most lodges, and so the kids are not with all the other guests. And a lot of that, there are lots of special things you can do with kids on safari. But just in terms of what they can remember and really enjoy, I would say 5 or 6 years old is a good age. Generally, an amazing thing. So we do have a few technical wobbles from time to time, and the longer we do it, the better we get at fixing those. So bear with us, and hopefully one day in the not too distant future we'll be able to have incredible and coverage and no signal breakup. I'm just going to chat to James quickly on the radio, see where he is walking. James. James, I'm on the left of Ngala. I'm heading now towards the general area of Buffalo's Hook Dam. Is there any area you would like me to check particularly? Copy, thank you very much. So James is still on those tracks, but in the area he's in, the backpack for the walks doesn't get very good signal. So he's in front of us here somewhere. He thinks this leopard is in the drainage line that comes from Buffalo's Hook Dam out and to the west of the dam. So I think we're just going to head down to the dam, see what we can see there, and maybe just stop and listen, see if we can hear any alarm calls. Oh, hey. How's everyone doing? Good. Good. Jalala. Same place in front of Sydney's car. Okay, I'm going to run away. Do you think it's a Vula or?
Yeah, must be or another.
Okay. Enjoy, guys. Looks like everyone's got the same plan today. Sorry about that. It's one of those little dips again. Oh, it looks like our hippo population at Buffalo's Hook is growing. I can now see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hippopotami.
Third head's just broken.
Unfortunately, guys, we've got a bit of a technical problem, and we'll just show you the hippos quickly, and then we're going to try to fix it. We are going to have to go off air though, and
We're going to go get the other tripod.
so while we do that, let's go see what Commander Bond's doing on foot. Let's have a look.
Hello everybody. We've walked quite a distance since you last saw us. We came down off the ridge crest over there to the western side. We slipped down into a drainage line, came up the other side. Brian is being remarkably stealthy given firstly his mass and secondly the incredible mass that he's carrying. And now we're just near Buffalo's Hook Dam, and you might be able to hear over the... We'll go around that direction. I think we'll try and head down through here, see what we can see. Hello everyone, sorry about the slightly dodgy signal. A couple of technical hitches here. The hippopotamus are also about to experience something in the way of a technical hitch. You can see at this dam the water is drying. Little islands of mud and dung are starting to show through the surface, and those hippos will be hunkering down as low as they possibly can in the water. But you can see that the water is reducing almost on a daily basis, we can see. And now if we pan slowly to the right hand side, you may be able to catch a glimpse of the recalcitrant Wendy. In it, of course, is the ever enthusiastic Brent Leo Smith and the slightly mad Andrew Francis, and they are doing their level best to fix the camera there. Well, not the camera, the bit that attaches the camera to Wendy, and then hopefully they will be a little more reliable signal-wise, and they can take you on a bit of a drive. We at the moment are unable to move. Hello, is it fixed?
I'm going to have to go back and check.
Right, Brent, you can hear, is now screaming across the bushveld. He has a very powerful voice, does Brent, and they're going to have to go back to the camp to fix it. Okay, good luck. We will carry on walking. I think you'll probably, unfortunately, lose our signal, but we'll sit here for a little bit longer, and we'll enjoy the hippo. It's not often that we're able to watch hippo on foot, of course, and you don't want to come across them in the bush on foot. And certainly as we were approaching the dam, this is one of the things that I kept my eyes peeled for most keenly, because you don't want to come across a hippo in the bush, especially if you're between them and the water. They become very easily threatened and fearful if they are not close to the water, and if they feel like their path to the water is in any way hampered or hindered. Continues to be a rather special morning, I think, and I'm rather hoping there's quite a large build-up of cloud off to the western side, and that's starting to come over the top of this beautiful area here, and you can see that, and I'm hoping it's going to continue to build slowly during the day. I suspect, however, the fairly volcanic low-felt sun will burn that cloud off. Also a little sunbird flying over. It's a very beautiful sort of early summer's morning. Let's try and move slowly across the dam wall here and see if we get any more signal. We'll just see what else we can see. We don't want the hippo to feel threatened. They're going to watch us, definitely. They'll watch us quite carefully. Slowly across, and with any luck you will still be with us. What I'm hoping to find across here is perhaps
and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back in the vehicle with us.
Sorry everybody, it's a tough day out here in the wilderness. Brian and I are very frustrated. Signal just dropping for some reason. Brent, of course, has had catastrophic failure on his fluid head. That is not his particular head, although there is fairly frequent catastrophic failure in his head, but not at this particular time. At the moment they are driving at probably warp speed back towards the camp to change the fluid head, or the car indeed, and they will be back with you hopefully shortly. Now we are on a western facing slope just up from Buffelshoek Dam where we saw the hippos, and everything seems to be okay if we're facing west for some reason. Nobody can explain this, of course, but they do say that working out video signals and radio signals is a bit like learning to do magic. I was accused of being Harry Potter yesterday with my wand, and basically the same principles that apply to wand using apply to videos and the radio. Now, there are bits and pieces of interesting biology around here, and what we're going to do is head off towards some of them. And the big advantage of being on foot, of course, is that always, or just about everywhere, we could probably do a whole 3-hour show if we really were desperate for stuff around this particular area, just looking at tiny little things. It would probably put some of you to sleep, but certainly there is enough to look at while you're The first thing we'll look at is this bush, which I've shown you before, but I haven't fed it to Brian yet. And so what I'm going to do is feed it to Brian. Brian, this is the Bushman's grape. They're not ripe yet, but they are edible. What do you think?
It's like a nut almost.
I don't think it tastes very nice.
Not really.
Apparently they're quite sweet when they're ripe. I've yet to see a ripe one, but they go little purple colours, and that's why they're called a Bushman's grape. I've now got an astonishingly bitter sensation going down the back of my throat. I may drop dead at any second. It's called, in Afrikaans, perdepus, which means horse's urine, and that's because of the way that the leaves smell. It's not really that unpleasant at all, but the fruits apparently are quite nice, and they are not good when they're not nice when they're green. Just remember, everybody, especially if you're a younger viewer, and if you're an older viewer, you only eat things in the wild if you know what they are. We know what this is. This is a well-known plant. It's got a local name. We know the local people have eaten it for many centuries. So don't go into the wild and just start picking things and eating them. Chances are you will end up lying in a ball, clutching your stomach, or even worse. So that is the Bushman's grape, Cissus cornifolia. I have shown it to you before, but I always think it's quite interesting to find little bits of fruit to eat. And another thing that I've been banging on about, because I've just discovered it, and I can't believe it's taken me almost 15 years to discover, is these roundleaf teak trees here. You can see a few of them around. They've got, unsurprisingly, round leaves, you can see. This is the round leaf of the round-leafed teak. It's got quite a waxy surface to it, and very little will eat the leaves, but you can see that the whole thing has been macerated by elephants, and that this plant is this big. I'm walking around the rootstock now. Quite astonishing. One plant, probably 100, more than that, 150 years old, this thing. Huge amount of wood under the ground here, and in areas where elephants are not, it grows into a giant planking sized tree. It really is quite spectacular. Right, let us move along down the western slope. I'm very pleased to say that we seem to still have signal with you, which is great news indeed. Now, the other thing that sometimes we're able to do, we're going to try something really outlandish here and go low angle and see if the signal maintains. These little dung piles here, ooh, let me see this ant. He's called a drop ant, and he's called a drop tail ant because his tail is dropped, and if you look at him, okay, I should have to stand up.
So we're back, we've swapped fluid heads, and we're with that same wonderful big Ellie bull we spent a long time with on last night's sunset safari. He's back on quarantine. He's got an itchy ear at the moment, and he's having a wonderful scratch against that marula. Hello, big boy. Oh, scratch that ear. Here's... So we must have spent about 40 minutes with him 50 minutes with him yesterday, and it doesn't look like he's moved far. Oh, look at that. Isn't that spectacular? Huge bull, massive in the shoulder. And the drongo flapping around his feet, catching insects disturbed by him. Hopefully he might head down towards the Juma waterhole for a drink a little later. It looks like he's going to continue working his way through the bush willows of quarantine. I'm not so interested in that bush willow, just meandering on. I think he might be, as I said, heading towards the Juma. Oh, my head's in the way, sorry about that. The Juma waterhole. You can see those tracks he's leaving in the sand.
Morning, mobile stations. Can I have an update, please? Morning, Grant. Ngala, western side, 50 down. It's Mandor, quarantine area. You guys are still trying to follow up on something going on around Appleton Dam.
Oh, he's found something there. Looks like he might have found an asparagus plant. Oh, I think it's maybe too late to see what it is. By the time he gets there, it's already in his mouth. But he is slowly heading towards the waterhole. Isn't that a really picturesque scene of him walking between all these little terminalia trees? Blue sky in the background. Hope you guys are getting some good screenshots of this. And remember to share your screenshots on the official WildEarth Facebook page, or use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Sorry guys, I meant to say the Safari Live Facebook page, not the WildEarth Facebook page. You're going to be famous, big boy. All over social media. See how he sniffed those little senna plants but didn't eat them? Just looking for little titbits that are growing around. There we go, he's found something he likes. That's a little grivia or raisin bush he's pulling out there. Doesn't like the sennas. Now we've got a perfect opportunity for a comparison tree here, so you can see how massive he is. So when he moves off a little bit, I'll jump out of the car very quickly and I'll stand there. So I'm exactly 191 centimeters, just over 6'3".
Just move your head a bit further.
Sorry.
For 1 second. There we go.
So this elephant is also the one. Oh, he's going to have a scratch on his ear again. Actually hear that of his skin against the tree. Moving towards the waterhole. Janet thinks he likes our company I'm not sure about that, Janet, but we definitely love his company. It's so nice having big Ellie balls around. Okay, well, he is far enough away now. Let's just do this. I think he was standing right next to this tree. We're trying to go back so you got the same angle. And about there. Okay, so you saw how big he was. You can still see him walking over there. There we go. You can see how massive that animal is compared to me.
Try go on the other side also.
Try one on the other side.
That's it.
Yeah. Here we go. Now let's go catch up with him. I'm hoping he's going to go drink. So while we catch up with that, we're going to go across to Commander Pond and see what he's been up to on foot.
Hello everyone, we found a little bit of signal and we found a little feather. And I was hoping very much that it was a lilac-breasted roller feather, especially when I saw the slight tinge and glint of metallic blue, but I do not believe it to be a lilac-breasted roller feather. I don't know where on the wings the lilac-breasted roller has that whiteness. And that said, I don't know what feather this is actually, so any suggestions would be gladly appreciated. A little bit of white. We did see a Jacobin cuckoo flying over here, and they're black and white. I haven't ever seen any bluish tinge on it though, but this is a wing feather. You can see the way it's designed. It's one of the primaries on the wings, I think, certainly from the wing, and you can see there, you're seeing the flashes of blue now. And I would say, I mean, that's a little bit like a starling, but the starling doesn't have any white on its wings. Isn't that beautiful? You can see the one end, or one is a kind of a shortish end and the other is quite a long end. One is wider than the other each side, and this will stick into the wings and help for magnificent flying. Right, from a feather to something completely unrelated. Well, I suppose, no, totally unrelated, in fact, elephant. Let's go back to Brent, and I'll continue searching about the place and see if I can find the owner of this feather.
So he's decided to take a little break and start devouring another bush willow or combretum. I still think he is going to move slowly towards that water hole. So he's a nice big mature bull, and Lynn is wondering, how old is he? Lynn, I guess he's probably around late 30s, maybe 40, early 40s. Nice big bull. Doesn't have the biggest tusks in the world, but a very big body size. And the Kruger elephants are known for their incredibly big body size. One of the largest sort of body-sized elephants in Africa, the largest that I know of at the moment being in Tembe Elephant Park in northern KwaZulu-Natal. Apparently they have the largest body-sized elephants in the world. And James Bear's wondering how long have these elephants been in their current form in the Sabi Sands? Oh, I'm not 100% sure, James. I'm trying to remember now. I know it's somewhere in the recesses of my mind. Let me have a look in my big book quickly while we sit with him. Hopefully we've got a bit more information in here. And I think if we spend some more time with him, he might treat us to a drink at the Djuma waterhole. And I couldn't think of many better things to do than sit with one of my favorite animals on a Sunday morning. Okay, we're on just quickly reading the elephant section of my big mammal Bible. So I'll just keep you updated with what I'm saying. So the earliest known ancestor of the elephants was something called a proboscidae, which was very small and peg-like, and was only about 60 centimeters at the shoulder. And the fossils of this were found in Egypt, and it lived on the edges of swamps. And that was about 50 million years ago. So that's the first ancestor of our modern elephant. Okay, so I'm just trying to skim read to get the dates through here. So out of the modern elephant family, Elephantidae, which include the modern elephants, there's also two species of mammoths, the imperial mammoth and the woolly mammoth, both now extinct obviously, and they are true elephants, so that means they will come from around the same time period. And unfortunately, not even in my big book does it have how long modern day elephants have been in their current form. So why don't you guys lend me a helping hand there and kindly see if you can find any information about how long African elephants have been in their current form, and send those answers through to us on questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Let's try to get around a better view of him now that he's putting his bottom well done. Apparently there's some fantastic shots and close-ups of his feet by Ashley. And Ashley and Gecko said, well, when he crossed the road, it looked like he put his feet, his back foot exactly where his front foot was. I didn't notice that, but they do that sometimes, but not all the time. Oh, he's found a little bit of dust to throw on himself. Mouth full of bushwiller. The front feet are quite a lot bigger, and let's have a look. There's the front feet. and they're quite a bit bigger than the back feet, and you can see the toenails, and like our fingernails or toenails, the toenails will keep growing throughout the animal's life, and like the tusks as well will also keep growing throughout the animal's life, but the toenails are kept nice, well, and trimmed and short by all the walking an elephant does. So you can just see as he continues to decimate Commander Bond.
Hello everyone, we are standing here at a tree that is about, well, it has met its end, I'm afraid, at the tusks and trunk of the magnificent animal that you've been seeing. Possibly not the exact animal that you've been seeing, but one of his friends, relatives or cousins from around here. Now, what happened here? This is a marula tree. For those of you who don't know, it doesn't look much like a marula tree anymore. And this marula tree, the first thing that happened to bring about its demise was that an elephant came along to an area like this, probably in winter, stuck its trunk, or its tusk, this is a tusk, into the bark like that, wedged a piece off, would have wedged it like that, and then peeled a great big chunk off like that. And once that happened, the rot set in, as it were, in more ways than one. I suspect that the elephant would have worked its way around this tree, eventually ring barking it and taking off a concentric ring, which would have meant the death of the tree. Then, once that's happened, all sorts of other exciting things occur for various little small creatures. The first and most obvious thing that you can see here are the enormous number of woodpecker holes. Lots of holes drilled here by woodpeckers, possibly started off by wood-boring beetles, but I think you'll find that most of them are probably woodpeckers looking for those wood-boring beetles to eat. And if you listen carefully, that is the kind of sound that a woodpecker making his territorial tap, the bearded woodpecker, makes in the morning. And he will find a nice hollow tree like this on which to make his sound. So, lots of woodpecker action. These are possibly also, I'm just looking at all the holes. There's some very low down ones here. So I suspect they're probably also wood borer beetles that have taken an enormous sort of toll on the tree. But the most subtle and interesting thing about this, I think, and this is very old damage, and I don't think it's long before this tree actually blows over in the next strong wind. If you look here, you can see a whole lot of mud. Now this mud used to be underneath the bark that has just fallen off. There you can see it. And it's not, it's definitely not mud that's been rubbed here by an animal, it's mud that's been put here by a termite. And I suspect there was an enormous termite nest underneath the bark that's just fallen off. And if you look carefully, Brian, I don't know how you're going to show this, but if you look up the side of the trunk here, you can see the way that the wood has been eaten away. You can see little pieces have been eaten away underneath where the bark used to be. Now that was probably boring beetles and termites and various other things that have made a meal of the wood. And lots of these holes, we've actually found bits and pieces of sort of grass and sort of drilled wood inside. And I'm sure that's because of the beetles and things that went in there to live. Quite astonishing. And the last thing we'll show you about this tree is here. We're just going to just bang this. Watch as the rotting wood comes out of here. Fascinating. This whole tree is rotting quietly inside, but providing a huge amount of food for various other animals. And you can see here that it's really about to fall over. I don't think I'm strong enough to push it over. I'm probably almost though, hey Brian?
Yeah, almost.
Almost strong enough here, but not quite. I think it's going, the next big wind that we have through here will probably push it over. So, Emily in Hawaii, we were obviously standing next to a different tree a little while back, a round-leaf teak with an enormous rootstock underneath, and you want to know why the termites don't eat it. I think probably for two reasons. The first being that many of the trees out here are termite resistant because there are so many termites, and the second being that termites prefer dead wood. They don't necessarily want to eat living wood, and certainly you know, if you have an enormous problem with termites in homes and that sort of thing, it's all on dead wood that they're eating. They don't necessarily get into much of the live wood. So I think that's the other reason. Oh, and the third reason would be that it's underground. Termites tend to harvest above the ground. And the big mounds that you see, they are normally animals bringing, or termites bringing fungus down, not fungus, they're harvesting things above the ground and pulling it down into the ground and into their little fungus gardens. And then the harvester termites, which have burrows under the ground, also harvest grass mainly on the top. And dry wood termites need dry wood like this. That's what they eat. And so they wouldn't go underground to try and pick up kind of the rootstock of a living tree. And certainly trees grow on termite mounds quite successfully around here. That was the dead marula tree. And now we will move on and see what else we can see. So a couple of birding requests. Simone, you want to see a scimitar, and Carol, you want to see a batalier. Now I was recently listening to a scimitar calling. They go like this, they go and a scimitar, if you don't know, is like it's sort of a blackbird like that, about that size, with a scimitar-billed beak. And perhaps, I'm not sure, maybe I'm getting the question wrong, but perhaps one of you is suggesting this might be a scimitar-bill feather. I think that's a pretty good thought, actually. Either that, or it's very close relative, Simone. Perhaps it's a green wood hoopoo. That's probably exactly what it is. Well done, Simone. Brilliant. So we're going to go with scimitar-bill or or green wood hoopoo. I feel slightly embarrassed. Carol, it's definitely not a batalier. Bataliers don't have this blue tinge, and batalier would have much larger flight feathers than this. Good thought. Thank you, Simone. Brilliant, actually. I feel embarrassed and thoroughly churlish. Yes, and so in theory, as is being pointed out to me, I don't really deserve this feather in my hat. Well, your cap is a way of complimenting someone, as opposed to someone who's been totally clueless. Now, excuse me. This very pale coloured tree is interesting from a botanist's point of view, because it used to be called Matinus buxifolia. No, it didn't. It was called Matinus something else. Anyway, they split the tree from what was one tree into about 10 or 12 different species. It's now called Gymnosporia buxifolia, or the common spikethorn. And half of these similar looking trees around here that we call gymnosporias or spikethorns are in fact different. And that was changed about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's really quite difficult to be a botanist out here and understand all the name changes and that sort of thing that goes on. But one of the interesting things about these gymnosporia trees is the amount of tannin there is in the leaves. And because of that tannin and various other compounds, if you have got a stomach complaint, these things are excellent for stomach complaints. They'll stop up the bowels a bit, and that will provide some sort of relief. Now, on that note, a pretty grim note, let's head back to Brent, and he's still with his elephant, and we'll meander along here. See you just now.
So we're going to talk very quietly. This wonderful Ellie bull keeps dozing off on his feet, and he's busy doing it at the moment. Andrew's going to show you. Oh no, he woke up a little bit, but he actually fell asleep standing up a few minutes ago in the shade. It's hot, and you just watch his eyes. He just starts drooping, and just now he fell asleep, and I think he forgot we were here, and then he woke up and suddenly shook his head at us because I think he dozed off and he completely forgot where we were. And Ellie bulls do that quite often. They can sort of catch a few Z's on their feet, and sometimes they'll go up to a marula tree or a big tree and nap against the tree, lean against it. Hello, big boy. I do so much enjoy these nice big mature bulls. It's just that air of calm that you don't get with a breeding herd. He's dosing again. Isn't this really, really special? I mean, he's 3 foot from the front of the car and having a snooze. It's been a hard night foraging. Deserves a bit of rest as it gets warm. I almost feel like we should be very quiet. Well, oh, there you go. He looks embarrassed every time he wakes up. Sort of, oh, I shouldn't be snoozing. Yeah, after no, checking to see if those leaves were of his preference, but maybe not. Maybe he's been feeding on too many of the marulas around here, and they've let each other know. Or maybe he's going to, oh, what's he after there? Oh, yeah, scratch again. With skin as thick as an elephant, you really need some rough and tough stuff to have a scratch against. Fortunately for him, the bark of many of these trees is quite abrasive, so lots of scratching posts all around. You can see scratching that ear. Incredible sound. So he scratched that same ear quite a few times since we've been with him. And it looks like he might be off towards the Jima waterhole again, taking his time. Oh, he's got a bit of spring in his step. Maybe he's decided it's time now for a morning drink. Just gonna scoot around, see if he keeps moving through. And just behind him is actually where I live. Well, Scott, myself, Nikki and Jamie and Eugene, we live over here. So we see quite a few herds of elephants and elephant bulls throughout the year, and Boyd from North Carolina is wondering, do they migrate or are they quite resident? Boyd, you'll have local migrations with food and water and stuff like that, but we do see some of the same herds, but they can move quite far from this area. So we do see different elephants quite regularly. Sometimes you will find elephant bulls like this guy might spend a week or two in a very small area. I'm hoping he decides to hang around, and this is the third day in a row he's been around our camps, so I'm loving having him here. And we took a little walk yesterday with the ladies from Final Control and the cameraman. We actually walked up to within about 15 meters of this big boy, and he just carried on feeding. So we're gonna go see what Commander Bond's up to. He's got one of the noisiest creatures in the African bush.
Hello everybody, I'm not sure if you can even see what Brian has brilliantly managed to find in that camera. It is one of my favourite little bugs out here, a member of the Hemiptera, a cicada, known throughout the world for making the summer sound, that high-pitched buzzing that makes one think of sitting in a pool somewhere in the heat, perhaps quaffing a delicious gin and tonic, only when we're much older, of course. Now, what I'm going to do is point over towards the cicada. They are calling around us. I am standing in the tree, and I'm going to point over. You probably saw it move there. Brian, did you get it moving there? And I will try and make it move around towards the camera, but what I suspect it will do is fly away. Isn't it amazing how incredibly camouflaged it is? There it is. And you may have heard it go zoot as it flew away. So I'm standing up here in this little marula tree, and again a quite astonishing tree in that it's been pushed over by elephants. It's living perfectly happily, though. It's just changed the direction of its movement, and it's living very happily in conjunction with a cicada. Probably a male cicada, in fact definitely a male, because it was calling. Well, it did call, it gave a little beat as it flew off, and the females are not able to do that. They don't have that sound making equipment. This is now high action TV, of course, because I may well fall onto my bottom and require some kind of emergency evacuation. So the males are the only ones that call. The females can't call, and the males try and shout as loud as they can in order to get the females to come to them, and then they will obviously do what males and females do after the singing has ceased. Now, Heidi, you want to know how hard the wood of a marula tree is. It's not a hard wood. It's quite a soft wood. They're quite fast growing trees, and you can see as soon as the bugs sort of get under the skin or under the bark, they rot pretty quickly. They're nothing like as hard as, say, a leadwood, or in fact most of the trees around here, like this one here that I'm pointing at, that's a red bush willow, and they grow there. That's the densest wood that we get out here, and that sits at about 1,300 kilograms per cubic decimeter. Per cubic meter. So that is, water sits at 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter, right? So that gives you an idea of how dense this is and how heavy it would be. And then, so this wood I would say is probably the one that I'm standing on, the marula. It sits at probably at about 900 or so, probably slightly less dense than water. This will float, whereas the middle of the heartwood of one of these trees will sink. Quite astonishing, really. So some very dense hardwood out here. Most of it not very good for furniture making or any kind of use in the home, because the elephants and other animals, you know, change the shape of how they grow so profoundly. Right, here we go. Brian, you will administer first aid if I come off. There we go. Barbara, I'm not sure I agree with you. You say that those cicadas are as ugly here as they are in America. I think they're really quite astonishing. I think they're quite pretty, especially as they don't bite and sting like some insects do. So Barbara, I'm going to accept that you and I are going to differ on the appearance of a cicada, and let's send you back to Brent. I believe his dozing and very lazy elephant is awake now and on the move, perhaps to the water. We'll keep looking around here for other interesting little things. See you just now.
Okay, he's come very, very close. So we've parked away from him and he's walked towards us. So I'm just got to keep nice and calm. He's still eating, he's just picking up little things. But we just don't want to make any sudden movements, Andrew. While an elephant's this close to us. This is incredible. He's probably, I don't know how far, less than like 2 feet or 3 feet from me. Did you hear that? That was him breathing out of his trunk, and off he continues. Isn't this amazing? I think there's a very strong chance he's going to be on, if he doesn't go drink now with us, you must definitely have a look at the Juma dam cam. I'm sure if he's going to be there. So Fiona said looked like, oh no, of course he turns his head now, that there was hair in his ears. That is correct, Fiona. You can just see it on the edge there. And when they're born, they do have quite a sort of layer of hair on them. But I mean, even if you look with the light on the top of his spine there, Andrew, you can just make out the little hairs sticking out. You come further to the back, on the back, just near the back hip, we can see, just make out the hairs on top a bit higher. The sun, yeah, we can't really see them on camera, but there are hairs there. So there is hair all over his body, but the most hairy spots, there we go, are probably his ears, and of course the end of his tail. Tail hair is quite a lot more thick, and it almost is like thick plastic. And the rest of the hair is a bit more fine, and obviously there's like quite a bit of hair around his ear. So as that eddy went past us, we heard him actually exhale, and it was incredible. That. And Dino from Port Ludlow in Washington said, well, they must have to intake a vast amount of air to be able to draw that air onto their olfactory organs. And I was wondering how much volume of air can they inhale at one time. Well, Dino, I would guess it would be the same amount as water, but it's quite difficult to measure air in liters. But it's probably about 2 gallons of air that they can inhale at one time. So just less than 2 gallons. munch, munch, munch. And to keep a body that size constantly well fed is a massive task. A big Ellie bull like this can probably eat 200 to 300 kilograms of vegetable matter in a day. And also, where water is available, drink up to 100 liters, which is just over 200 gallons. No, sorry, that can't be right. 1 gallon is 4.5 liters. Sorry, my maths is definitely not my strong point. Let me try work it out in my head. This could just take a while, and there might be smoke coming from my head shortly. So 100 liters, or it's 4.5 liters to a single gallon. So 9 liters is 2 gallons. Wow, I definitely need to work on this. My mathematics, I think I should probably start taking extra lessons. Well, I think it's around 22 gallons, 100 liters of water. But why don't you guys double check for me and let me know how many gallons is 100 liters of water. And remember, you can tweet it with the hashtag Safari Live, or you can email it in questions@wildearth.tv. Yes, I definitely don't think I could live in a continent that doesn't have elephants in it, and lions and leopards and wild dogs. And I must say, I have seen Asian elephants, but the African ones, they do it for me. We're on the move again. Oh, look at him, he's got some speed on him. Oh, he looked like he got that little bit of a water walk on. He's even creating dust. You go, big boy. But he did that earlier and he sort of caught us. We thought we was going to go straight for the water, and then he stopped and fed. But he is on the move. Is he going to stop and feed, or is he going to head straight for the water? Still on the move. And those who watch the Juma Dam Cam, you might see us appear slightly before him, but it looks like he's on his way to that little pad. Oh, he's got the water walk. I love it when they do this. Doo-doom, doo-doom, doo-doom. So I'm just going to swing around, and we're going to reverse with him while he makes his way there, if he hasn't sped up. Oh no. I think he's playing games with us. He stopped, smelled something tasty, stopped to have a bite again. I wonder what plant he's decided is worth putting off his. Oh, it looks like a little wild asparagus. And he's now hiding behind the bush. while we stay with him, and hopefully he does head off to have a drink, we're going to go see what Commander Bond's got.
Hello everybody! Here we were just doing a little tuba dance there because we're a bit odd and we're in the bush, which makes us even odder. Now this is a tuba, and over which we were dancing very well, I think. Never mind. So this is a tuba, probably from something called a crinum lily, certainly one of the lilies and one of the beautiful flowers out here. This one is very old, and I think you'll find it hasn't been eaten because a lot of these tubers are actually quite toxic, so I wouldn't be trying to eat any of them. No, not going to eat them. Right, the elephant is now running, not around here, close to Brent. Let's go back to him, we'll find something else. Bye-bye.
He's on the mission now, look at him go. Heading straight towards the water. He's got that water walk. Let's try get opposite him. Here we go. He made it. It's amazing how all of a sudden he suddenly decided to rush for the water. And look at that reflection Andrew's got for you there. And he's gone straight to where the water pipe, the inlet is, and getting that nice clean. He just threw the water away there. So Margaret says this elephant is easily distracted like a man, and Sandra said he is very cute, and I agree. And it's not often something that's so, a cute strut, a cute walk. He does. I love it when elephants get. Oh, what's he found? It's amazing how incurious they are. They will pick up pipes and anything to play with, pull it. Oh, you can hear that gurgle. I'm just going to move a little bit closer to him so we can get a close-up of him inhaling water. So it looks like he's actually trying to dig out the water pipe. And you can see what they've done there is they put a big log over the water pipe, and it's specifically to stop elephants ripping the pipe. So it looks like he wants to dig it out now. And look how he's using his feet. Oh, and I think Jim Reeves might be making his way down here for a few repairs if this big boy succeeds in getting that log loose. Oh, he's going down to his knees. He's going to use his tusk to move the log. Oh boy, poor Jim. So he has now found the pipe, moving the other bits of log out the way. Wasn't that incredible? He just dropped to the knee, used his his tusk to leverage the log out. I think he's upset because it's not being pumped right at this very moment, and because the pan is full. So I'm definitely going to have to report that to poor Jim. Because if he gets hold of that pipe, he can flip out quite a fair section of it. He's going to. See, There we go. If you go in close there, Andrew, he's actually got the pipe out and he's putting his trunk directly over the pipe. Oh, now he's gripping it. Uh-oh. But the pipe, I think his frustration is that the pipe is not producing enough. It's not pumping water right this very second because, as I said, the pan is already full. So he wants fresh water from the pipe. And oh, big thank you to Maggie and Heidi who said 100 litres, 26.4 gallons. So my maths was off, but that is something that happens quite often. Andrew, let's hope he doesn't take out the lack of water frustration on us.
Don't say that.
He is so close to us right now. We're just going to have to keep very still. So Chris in Washington, speaking about trunks and elephants and whatnot, he's found another pipe, and that is being ripped out of the ground. Where's the water? Absolute frustration. Why is there no fresh water coming out of these pipes? In all my years on the Sabi Sands, every pipe I've pulled has got fresh water. What's wrong with these ones? Oh, and now he's found a cable. Let's hope that's not the cable for the Juma Dam cam that he's found. Oh, he's left that cable alone. I think he might be realizing he has to drink the slightly muddy water, or just spray it out. Maybe he's going to empty it to force someone to start pumping again. No, he's realized he's going to have to drink. Oh, not that much drinking. I'm just going to try to get around the front of him again. There's what he has done. Remove the log that was put there to stop elephants pulling on the pipe. Oh, he's found another pipe. Well, let's hope he doesn't spray us in his frustration. Very close again. He keeps walking closer to us every time we move. Slow movements, and he's going back to battle with the initial pipe. And he's keeping us on our toes. That's quite a steep little hill here. I didn't want to go where we were, right close behind them, but might give him a surprise. That's why I've moved further away. So, and to come wider and not directly at him, or not directly behind him in his blind spot. So while we get back into position, James has got some elephant dung and some insects. Come on, you.
Hello everybody, I found a little friend here on the ground, very grateful to the other friend that you've been looking at, and this is a dung beetle, of course, a dung rolling type of dung beetle. There are over 900 species of these amazing little creatures, and this particular dung beetle is rolling what is called a nuptial ball. Now with this pile of poop that he is constructing from this very fresh and fairly ripe smelling piece of elephant dung, this dung beetle is going to seduce a female of the same species. She will then go off and make, and what they'll do is they'll roll it off and they'll mate together and eat the dung. Sounds like a wonderful romantic weekend away, dung ball extravaganza. And then she will then go and find a piece of dung like this, make another ball, lay the egg in the middle of it, and then bury the ball, and then repeat the process again and again throughout the wet season. And eventually, at the end of sometime probably during the dry season, the new dung beetle will hatch inside the ball as a larva. It looks like a kind of white, ugly worm, and it will eat away the dung that is encased in the ball, and eventually emerge during the course of the next wet season to become a fully fledged dung beetle like this. Now, not all of the dung beetles are ball rollers. Some of them just live in the dung, some of them bury dung underneath little dung piles like these, but these are the most iconic ones that we know of. And what Brian pointed out to me, I don't know if you can see him, are the flies sitting on top of this amazingly coloured dung beetle. He's a bit grubby now, of course, because he's been covered in dung, but he's got a lovely iridescent maroon colour, and you can see the flies. Now, I think the flies are probably just taking bits and pieces of dung off him, but what's interesting is that these dung beetles find dung because they've got another thing called a mite, a sort of parasite that lives on their faces, and those mites help them to find the dung. Without the mites, dung beetles cannot find dung. It's the most amazing thing, and they know that because they imported a whole lot of these things to Australia once, sterilized them and released them to eat the sheep dung that was causing the great fly infestations of Australia, and they couldn't find any dung. They flew about and eventually dropped dead of exhaustion. They did a bit more research, and they found that these mites are a crucial part of how dung beetle survives, and so they imported a whole lot more dung beetles, this time with the mites, and apparently they made an enormous difference to the sheep dung and the consequent fly problems that beset Australia so many years ago. Right, so we'll just keep watching him construct, and you can see that the actual elephant dung itself is pretty fresh, and it's pretty fresh, like I say. It's got sort of a ripish smell, perfect for a dung beetle, and you won't get many of them around at the moment because we haven't had proper rain. Now, like I say, you get 900 different species of dung beetle. That is many, many, many. Lots of them are these kind of dung rolling beetles, but to identify them to species level is often very different. And I know that you looked at one with Brent the other day. There was a slightly different colour, possibly a green or black colour. This one is kind of an iridescent maroon. Well, from where I'm lying, he's an iridescent maroon colour. So, just a fascinating little life that he's living, and you can see him. He's a bit tired now. He's probably eating some of his nuptial ball. And what they do is, you can see he's kind of eaten away this particular section of the dung. I'll just move it very slightly. It won't be hard for him to. I'll move him into position. There you are. Ooh. See, you should never interfere in nature. You normally make the problem far worse. There we go. And what he will do is he will use he's got these kind of combs on the front of his nose that he uses to scrape away the dung, and then with his front feet he'll push those onto the dung. With his middle feet he'll kind of roll the dung around, and with his back feet he can actually drag this dung ball. When we saw him, he started off on the ball behind and then moved to this particular patty. I must say, when I think about the position I'm actually lying in, it's a little bizarre. I'm less than 2 inches nose-wise from a fairly fresh piece of matter that has just come out of an elephant's bottom. Yeah, look, I didn't really ever expect myself to be in this position. Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Yes, I think we've probably discovered why I'm still single. Like you say, my idea of a romantic extravaganza is perhaps not in keeping with the traditional forms of a romantic extravaganza. Let's have just a quick look at what this elephant has eaten. Sunday morning activity. This is a piece of stick. Oh no, man, this dung beetle has gone to sleep. It's literally gone to sleep. Oi! You're on TV, wake up. It's gone to sleep. Or it thinks that it may think that we're attacking it. Anyway, we'll just leave him there. Feeling a little bad now. Anyway, so interestingly, I'm not being facetious here, this dung beetle, this dung is filled still with a lot of wood. It's going to fall over again. The dung is full of wood and sticks and leaves, and that's because the elephants are still eating a lot in the way of trees. They're browsing a lot because there's not a lot of grass around, so they're still eating away at the trees, which means the trees are taking a pretty early spring-summer hammering. They're little pieces of grass, more than they would be in the middle of winter, but not as much as they would be otherwise. Right, what else can we find around this dung? I was rather hoping the beetle might perform a bit better than he has. He has now either gone to sleep or is paralyzed with terror. There we go. Right. Okay, we're going to spend the last few minutes, I think, with the elephant. Brian and I are very grateful for your patience today. Thank you very much. Big thank you to Tara and Louise for their sterling work in the final control during some trying times. Thank you for being with us on the bushwalk. From me, we will see you this afternoon, probably in a vehicle, not sure, perhaps on foot. Brian and I will hand you back to Brent and see you later today. Thanks very much.
Sorry guys, Dad and I giggling away here. Just seconds before, he picked up a cable that he had pulled out of the ground, put it in his mouth, sort of chewed it for a second, and then sort of literally, you can imagine like a child throwing a bit of a temper tantrum, just flung it over his shoulder onto the ground. But now he's got his trunk over the pipe and he's sucking directly from the pipe. They said there's not much water coming out of it, but he said he's literally trying to draw it out of the ground. Well, there's a lot of comments going on about how clever this big boy is and such a rebel, and he keeps, a lot of people think he might be looking for me to get out and go help him. I don't think I'm going to do that. I did, while you were with James, wander around very briefly from the vehicle, picking up all the little pieces of pipe and cable he'd managed to pull out so we can get rid of them and don't leave them lying around the waterhole. But with these things, the next herd of eddies or eddy ball that comes here, I'll probably have to pick up some more pipe. And there's quite a substantial amount I've managed to fit into the front of the vehicle. It is incredibly special spending time with these big Eddie balls. There we go, there's all the pipe and stuff we managed to collect. I used my walking stick to hook it so I didn't have to get out of the car, although I did jump out to catch some of the smaller pieces I couldn't hook with my stick. And maybe we're definitely gonna have to go have a word with poor Jim Reeves about his log to protect the water pipe. I just keep hoping he sprays Andrew. And me. I could deal with a bit of a cool off. Getting really warm now. Probably over 30 degrees Celsius already, so in the 70s, and it's not even 9 a.m. Oh, this is... Is he actually going to drink some water? Finally! Not really. more wetting his mouth than drinking. Oh, beautiful big boy. So calm. So, what a wonderful sunrise at Safari it's been. I know James has been showing you some interesting stuff on foot, and we did get lions and elephant. And guys, don't forget, he's right in front of the Djuma Dam cam, so you can keep watching him on the dam as soon as we end off. So from all of us out here, have a great day, and don't forget to join us for the Sunset Safari.